sa social media na pinaniniwalaan nila na totoo. Malamang lahat tayo, ang masamang epekto ng disinformasyon at misinformasyon ay lalong umalingaw sa gitna ng isang global crisis sa ating kalusugan noong panahon ng COVID-19 pandemic, kung saan talamak ang paglabas ng mali-maling impormasyon sa internet. Noong panahon na iyon, mahirap para sa ordinaryong mamamayan na makakuha ng kritikal at wastong impormasyon mula sa ating mga ahensya. Sino rito ang nabiktima ng scam? O may kilalang nabiktima ng scam? Malamang lahat din tayo. Dahil sa social media, ang cybercrimes ngayon ay may tuturing na natin na mas madalas pang mangyari sa buhay ng isang karaniwang tao kesa sa mga common crimes. Bilang komite na may mandato na siyasatin ang lahat ng bagay na nauugnay sa pagsugpo ng kriminalidad, layunin po natin dito ang magkapagsagawa ng naangkop na batas laban sa mali at malisyosong impormasyon na nagdudulot ng pinsala at krimen sa ating mamamayan, lalong-lalo na sa ating mga kabataan. Napapanahon ang ating diskurso ngayong araw na ito dahil laganap na ang mga kasinungalingan at peking balita sa social media. Bawat Pilipino, lalong-lalo na mga menor de edad, mga hindi nakapag-aral, mga matatanda na hindi sanay sa teknolohiya at iba pang mga vulnerable sector ng ating lipunan, tayong lahat ay posibleng maging biktima ng panloloko at paglilinlang sa social media. Isang nakakaalarmang sitwasyon sa social media ay ang pag-normalize ng paggamit ng bastos na salita, toxic behavior, haters, personal attacks o bashing. Our children start to experience self-hate and resort to self-harm. Bagamat sinusubukan na matugunan ang mga insidente ng cyberbullying, ito pa rin ay maaaring maging sanhi ng depresyon, suicidal thoughts, at iba pang mga long-term negative effect sa ating mental health. Napakahirap na mawari kung ano ang totoo at peke sa social media, lalong-lalo na at mayroong satirical news websites, AI-generated images at deepfakes. Ayon sa isang survey, 86% ng mga Pilipino ay naniniwala na isang malaking problema ang fake news. Ngunit mas malaking problema ang mga trolls na sadyang nagpapalaganap ng peking balita. Ang disinformasyon na kinakalat nila ay may tuturing na weaponization of social media kapag ito ay nagdulot ng karahasan o nagasik ng pagkabitak-bitak ng ating lipunan. Hindi natin maikakait ang malalim na pinsalang dulot ng peking balita at cybercrimes, lalo na kung ito ay patungkol sa kalusugan, seguridad ng bansa, terorismo, child sexual abuse o exploitation, natural na kalamidad, public emergency at integridad ng ating mga demokratikong institusyon. Banggitin ko lamang po ang isang mahalagang bagay na tinatalakay noong Quadcom. Ito ay ang paglaganap ng scam farms ng mga pogo. Nakita natin na ang mga pogo ay gumagamit ng mga social media upang maglabas ng pekeng job offers at makapag-recruit ng mga kababayan natin na walang kamuang-muang at mabilis na naaakit sa mataas na sahod at magagandang benepisyo na pinangako ng pogo recruiters. Ngunit nauwi lamang sila bilang trafficking victims na sa pilitang pinagtrabaho bilang mga scammers. Isa itong ehemplo na nagpapakita ng kahinaan ng ating mga batas at kakulangan ng proteksyon ng ating mamamayan laban sa mga panloloko sa internet. Mismong ang pag-iit ng ating pagmamay-ari ng West Philippine Sea ay apektado sa paglaganap ng kasinungalingan sa SOCMED. Sabi nga ni Justice Antonio Carpio, ang pag-angkin ng China sa West Philippine Sea ay maituturing na fake news of the century. Ang mga Pinoy na trolls naman na nagpapalaganap ng maling impormasyon tungkol dito, pwede ba nating ituring bilang mga traidor ng bayan? Marahil ay kinakailangan nating amyandahan ang ating mga batas, unang-una na Republic Act number 10175 o ang Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012. Marami mga panukalang batas ang nilagdaan ng aking mga kasamahan sa Kongreso. At ako mismo, naghain ako ng House Bill Resolution number 543 na naglalayo na maitatag ang social media regulation upang maprotektahan ang ating mga kabataan. Kinakailangan natin ang mga makabago at naaangkop na mga polisiya at patakaran laban sa disinformasyon. Kailangan natin suriin mabuti kung paano maitatag ang fact-checking at content moderation sa ating mga social media platforms. Higit sa lahat, kinakailangan natin magkaroon ng isang makabuluhang diskurso patungo sa online safety at digital literacy. Lahat yan sa bawat Pilipino. Sa pamamagitan ng malawakang talakayang ito sa Kongreso, maging layunin natin na magkaroon ng public awareness at makadagdag sa kalaman ng ating kababayan ukol sa disinformasyon. Hinikayat ko po ang lahat ng narito sa ating pagpupulong na sikaping makamit ang layuning ito. Sa inyong lahat, maraming salamat po. The Chair now recognizes Congressman Chairman
Thank you, Mr.
John
Chair.
Pimentel. You're now recognized.
Good morning to everyone. Today, we gather to address a pressing issue that is increasingly permeating our digital landscape: the pervasive spread of fake news on social media platforms. As we delve into this inquiry, it is essential to underscore the critical implications that misinformation has on public discourse, democratic processes, and societal cohesion. Social media has transformed how we communicate and access information. It provides unprecedented opportunities for dialogue and engagement, allowing voices from all walks of life to be heard. Yet, the same platform has become a fertile ground for the rapid dissemination of falsehoods and misleading narratives. The consequences of such misinformation are profound, influencing everything from public health decisions to electoral outcomes and undermining trust in our institutions and each other. As lawmakers, our role is not only to understand the scope and nature of this phenomenon, but also to consider our responsibility in creating a framework that protects the integrity of information while respecting the fundamental principles of free speech. We must tread carefully, ensuring that our legislative responses do not inadvertently stifle legitimate discourse or infringe upon the rights of individuals. This inquiry seeks to illuminate the dynamics at play between social media, fake news, and the public. We aim to gather insights from experts, stakeholders, and the public at large, examining the efficacy of existing regulations, the accountability of social media platforms, and the potential for new legislative measures to combat misinformation. We must ask ourselves, what constitutes fake news? How can we differentiate between misinformation and legitimate debate? What role should media companies play in monitoring and curbing the spread of false information? And crucially, how can we empower the public to critically engage with information they encounter online? Together, let us strive to find solutions that not only address the challenges posed by fake news, but also foster a vibrant, informed, and responsible digital citizenship. Our discussions today and in the days to come will shape the path forward in this vital area. And I encourage you to contribute your insights and perspectives in this hearing. Thank you and good morning to everyone.
The next to deliver his opening remarks is the chairman on Committee on Public Information and Communication Technology. Committee on Public Information, chaired by Congressman Chairman Joboy Aquino. Now you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning to all of you. Let me thank our colleagues, resource persons, and everyone in attendance today as we try to understand and address the rampant spread of disinformation on social media. In today's digital era, its speed and impact are unprecedented, which compels us to address this head-on. Intentionally misleading information poses significant risk to our society, undermining public trust, threatening public safety, and influencing public opinion. We share a collective responsibility to address this challenge effectively. As I understand, we have representatives from different sectors, and our goal is to strengthen collaboration and explore approaches to counter disinformation. Each of you bring unique expertise and insights. We highly encourage all our resource persons to actively participate in our committee meetings and to exercise their freedom of speech, of expression, and of the press with diligence and integrity. As we engage in meaningful discussions, let us uphold the highest moral and ethical standards, recognizing that all freedoms and rights come with a responsibility to use them wisely. Together, let us foster a respectful and productive dialogue that contributes to inform policy making and the public good. With that in mind, I look forward to a constructive discussion with all of you. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you so much, Co-Chair Joboy Aquino. Now, the Chair would like to recognize one of the authors of House Resolution number 2147, Senior Deputy Speaker Don Gonzales. Now, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Dan, Chairman Johnny, Chairman Joboy, honorable members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good morning to all of us. It is my privilege to sponsor House Resolution number 286, which calls for a joint inquiry in aid of legislation on the rampant posting of false and malicious content on social media platforms, while safeguarding freedom of speech and ensuring digital safety. Social media bridges gaps. Pinag-uugnay nito ang mga tao, bumubuo ito ng mga komunidad, nagpapalawak ng mga kamalayan, at nagsusulong ng pagbabahagi ng kaalaman. According to online article by Data Reportal, the Philippines was home to 86.75 million social media users in January 2024. Equating to 73.4% of the total population. At sabi naman ng Foundation for Media Alternatives, ang Facebook ay ang pinakamura at pinakamadaling ma-access dahil ang ilang mga network ay inaalok ito ng libre bilang bahagi ng kanilang data plan. Ngunit, sa kabila ng napakaraming benepisyong kakibat nito, social media can also be used as a conduit of inappropriate contents. We all experience browsing our social media platforms, and more often, we come across racist, sexist, homophobic, religious, and political-based hate contents. Ang mga mapanirang nilalaman na ito ay naglalagay sa panganib sa kaligtasan ng publiko sa pamamagitan ng maling impormasyon, online harassment, mga panlilinlang at iba pang anyo ng cyberbullying. We affirm that instrumental role of social media in today's day and age, but there is an overwhelming need to address harmful content and at the same time uphold constitutional freedoms, particularly the freedom of speech and expression, which are considered cornerstones of our democracy. House Resolution number 286 proposes for the development of an improved transparency and accountability mechanisms for social media platforms. Most especially, it calls for an enhanced content moderation, reporting systems, and safeguards against misuse of algorithms. Additionally, digital literacy needs to be prioritized to help our fellow Filipinos discern credible information. Likewise, the resolution will also review Republic Act number 10175 or the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012 to address the challenges posed by emerging technologies and harmful online content. To effectively address and promote digital safety, a multi-stakeholder approach must be carried out. Social media companies, cybersecurity experts, and legal professionals must come together to craft an effective and double legislation. By working together, we can ensure a safer digital landscape while preserving democratic values. Inihikayat ko po ang aking mga kapwa mambabatas at lahat ng ating mga panauhin na suportahan ang resolution ito upang matiyak ang kaligtasan ng ating digital space. Let us reconfigure our social media platforms with meaningful discourse, innovation, and empowerment rather than a breeding ground for deception of harm. Takal po salamat, may payabak po kay Katam.
Ano yan?
Good morning to all of you. Takal po salamat. Maraming salamat.
To deliver the next opening remarks, the one who deliver his privilege speeches, two privilege speeches in the plenary on December 4 and 16, 2024. Chairman Robert Ace Barbers, you are now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is very short, Mr. Chairman. As the proponent of the privilege speech that was delivered last year, with respect to the issues in the social media, allow this representation to deliver a very short opening remark, Mr. Chair. Magandang umaga, mga kasamahan, honorable colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We are gathered here today not to silence voices, suppress free speech, or curtail the constitutional right to freedom of expression. Instead, we are here to draw the line between responsible discourse and the deliberate, systematic abuse of digital platforms to spread lies, destroy reputations, and manipulate public perception. This hearing seeks to establish a regulatory framework for social media similar to how the Kapisanan ng mga Broadcasters sa Pilipinas or the KBP regulates television and radio broadcasters, and how the National Union of Journalists of the Philippines or the NUJP upholds ethical standards for print media. Our goal is to develop a code of conduct for content creators, ensuring accountability and ethical responsibility in this rapidly evolving digital space. While we uphold the constitutional right to freedom of speech, we must also recognize the urgent need for regulation to prevent the misuse of digital platforms. The lack of oversight has allowed vloggers and online influencers to freely spread harmful narratives without fact-checking or ethical accountability. To address this, social media platforms like TikTok and Facebook must be treated as legitimate businesses requiring a franchise or accreditation system. By holding these platforms accountable for monitoring and removing defamatory content, we can foster a safer and more responsible digital environment. This measure will not only encourage ethical content creation, but also curb the spread of libelous and misleading information. Just as traditional media operates under legal and ethical standards, vloggers and online influencers must also be subject to similar regulations to prevent the reckless dissemination of falsehoods. In recent years, we have witnessed the alarming rise of trolls, vloggers, and malicious online actors who, under the guise of exercising free speech, systematically spread fake news and engage in character assassination. These individuals and groups, operating with seeming impunity, have poisoned public discourse and in many instances tarnished the reputation of those who dare challenge their narratives. Despite the existence of laws such as the Cybercrime Prevention Act, Filipinos remain vulnerable to online deception, harassment, and digital attacks that threaten not only individual lives but also the integrity of our democracy. The reality is that these network of trolls are not simply expressing opinions. They are engaged in a well-orchestrated, well-funded campaign to spread disinformation, manipulate public perception, and destabilize institutions. The sources of funding for these operations remain in the shadows, possibly linked to illicit activities such as POGO operations or criminal syndicates. These financial resources are weaponized to create chaos, erode trust in government, undermine the media, and weaken our democratic foundations. Ironically, but not surprisingly, none of these actors speak out against China's aggression in the West Philippine Sea, proving our suspicion of illegal foreign funding. Let us be clear, this is no longer a mere issue of online criticism. What we are facing is a calculated effort to deceive, defame, and discredit those who seek to uphold the truth. These trolls are mercenaries of disinformation, paid to disrupt, confuse, and divide. Their mission is to drown out facts, distort the truth, and silence those who speak out against corruption and injustice. We too have not been spared. As public servants, we have been personally targeted by these malicious actors. Myself, my colleagues, and even the President, we accept criticism when it pertains to our official duties. But it is evident that these attacks go beyond public accountability. Their true intent is to discredit us before the electorate and the people we serve through personal and baseless attacks. The Supreme Court in Labargan versus People of the Philippines, GR number 246824, citing the Kerr Jr. versus People in GR number 206015, ruled that, and I quote, offensive imputations against public officers do not constitute defamation if these relate to their discharge of official duties unless the prosecution proves actual malice. Defamatory utterances are malicious when made with knowledge that they were false or with reckless disregard as to its falsity, unquote. But this issue is bigger than any individual case, Mr. Chairman. This is about every Filipino who has been a victim of online harassment, cyber libel, and digital deception. If we continue to ignore this growing problem, we are failing the people we have sworn to protect. Social media should never be a tool for personal attacks or harassments or the destruction of reputations. Those who exploit these platforms to spread black propaganda, lies, and harm others must be held accountable. We have also received reports of vloggers soliciting donations under the pretense of funding their content, only to be involved in scams and online fraud. All this must stop, Mr. Chair. Today, we commit ourselves to finding solutions. We will explore ways to protect the public from the dangers of fake news and disinformation while ensuring that our digital spaces remain safe, ethical, and credible for future generations. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. That was 10 minutes. I thought
9 minutes only.
it was short. Anyway, the next item of our agenda is the acknowledgements of the resource persons who are present today. Thank you for coming over. And the COMSEC is hereby directed to acknowledge those personalities. And to those who will not be acknowledged, please approach po yung ating mic and ask to be recognized by the chair. Thank you so much. COMSEC, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning again. The following resource persons are present from the Department of Information and Communications Technology, Undersecretary Jeffrey E.N.D., Ms. Christine Applepre, Ms. Michelle Pagalilawan, Mr. Renato Del Rosario, and Attorney Don Josef Tiansay. From the Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center, Undersecretary Alexander K. Ramos, Attorney Alvin Navarro, and Ms. Christine Jane Flores. From the Department of Justice, Office of Cybercrime, Attorney Rodan Parocha. Secretary Ivan Uy. Apologies, sir. From the Department of Justice, Attorney Rodan Parocha of the DOJ Office of Cybercrime, with Head Agent Ina Marie Feliz Protasio Ladislao and State Counsel Attorney Kirshen Bautista. From the National Bureau of Investigation, Attorney Van Homer Angluben. From the National Telecommunications Commission, Attorney Andres Castelar Jr. From the Philippine National Police, Police Brigadier General Bernard Yang of the PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group, with Colonel Columbo Aberia of the ACG, Police Lieutenant Colonel Anacleto Daliva of the PNP Legal Service, Colonel Nova De Castro Aglipay, the Chief of the Legal Affairs Division of the ACG, and from the University of the Philippines, Associate Dean for the College of Media Communication, Dr. Rachel Ican. From the Center for Policy and Executive Development of the UP, Dr. Enrico Basilio. And Ms. Angela Chavez, also from CPED. Online, we have Attorney Michael Chu of the UP College of Law. And online, we also have Dr. Jonathan Corpus Ong of Global Digital Media and the University of Massachusetts in Amherst. From the Kapisanan ng mga Broadcaster ng Pilipinas, Attorney Rudolph Holarbal. From Vera Files, Ms. Ellen Tordesillas, President and Co-Founder. Mr. Chair, from the social media personalities present that we invited 40 plus, sir, with us today are Attorney Rico Tomotorgo, Ms. Maria Lourdes Tiquia of Publicus Asia, and Mr. Mark Louis Gamboa. That's all, Your Honor, for now. Thank you.
Okay,
Additional resource person, sir, from Press 1. Mr. Felipe Ipe Salvosa, Editor. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, just a clarification from COMSEC. Out of the
Go ahead.
41 social media personalities, only 3 have attended.
Yes, Mr. Chair, some of them sent excuse letters
Okay.
via email.
Yes, we have received of a different communication coming from the different resource persons, including the platforms like TikTok, YouTube, Google, and Facebook, Meta, Facebook, and to some personalities who have written us an excuse letter. They want to see or to acknowledge these excuse letters. Siguro isa-isay natin, no, para at least maging fair naman po doon sa mga resource persons who have attended while others have not. So ito po yung mga excuse na galing kay Chrisette Chu. I think this is reference to your invitation to joint inquiry. After careful consideration, I would like to respectfully turn down your invitation due to these following reasons. There are so many reasons, and maybe I'll be giving this to the members for their perusal afterwards para makita natin what action to be taken. Also from Aaron Peña, meron din po siyang excuse letter. Yes. Mr. kay Mark Anthony Lopez just received today. I think this is also an excuse letter. Kay June Abines, after having a discussion with my lawyers, I regret to inform you that I won't be attending the hearing today because objective hearing is an attempt to curtail the people's right to expression. Kay Richard Mata, thank you for the invitation. I just received this yesterday. Just a day before the event, I consulted my lawyer and was advised not to attend. The late invitation plus the unclear purpose of the event. We support the freedom of speech. We also support it. From Elizabeth Joy Cruz, same excuse. Meron din excuse. Kay Attorney Trixie Cruz Angeles, I respectfully decline this invitation as I question the legality of the inquiry as well as the proposed legislation for being violative of the constitutional guarantee of free speech. From Ethel Garcia, decline as well. From Maui Spencer, out of the country. From Sean Wayne, long excuse. And sa TikTok, YouTube, and Meta. So I think the members have to decide on the other members who have not given us any excuse letter for not attending on this resource person.
Mr. Chair.
Congressman Marcoleta and then Congressman Abante.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Judging from the title of the resolution before us, is it correct to assume that this hearing is only limited to social media platforms?
No, of course not.
Because the way I see it, it only addresses the problems, alleged problems encountered against bloggers.
No, Chairman, Congressman Marcoleta. That's the reason why we have invited as well the government agencies and also the academe and other media outlets who have parameters on.
But we have not invited members of the mainstream media, Mr. Chair.
We did. And that's the
what
reason
was
why
what was the
we're
response?
asking for the excuse letter as well because a while ago, the COMSEC have acknowledged the persons of the resource persons who have been invited.
Did we invite, Mr. Chair, Philippine Inquirer and Philippine Star?
COMSEC, can you please reply to the query of the good gentleman from Sagi Party List?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Philippine Daily Inquirer was not invited, Mr. Chair.
How about other social media? How about some other major media outlets.
Philippine Star, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, KBP was invited, kapisanan ng mga broadcasters sa
And the presence of the
Pilipinas.
KBP is here.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did that satisfy the query of Congressman Marcoleta?
Because I think, Mr. Chair, even the social, not only the social media are supposed to be invited, but also the mainstream media. I am personally victimized by these two popular newspapers, broadsheets. May I cite a particular example just to dramatize, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Kaya importante lang sana, gusto ko rin silang marinig ko nandito.
You want
Just a point of order.
So what's the point of order?
We are still in checking all the invitations that was sent to all the invitees. At the same time, Mr. Chairman, some of those invitees are not present. And with regards to the query being made by Congressman Coleta, I do believe that he has a basis for that. And since, Mr. Chairman, the COMSEC has confirmed that indeed Philippine Daily Inquirer and Philippine Star are not invited in today's hearing. Since Congressman Marcoleta is not a member of this committee, may I respectfully move, Mr. Chairman, that in the next hearing, we will invite Philippine Daily Inquirer and Philippine Star to expedite discussion, Mr. Chairman. So move, Mr. Chairman.
May I know, Mr. Chair, why
By Congressman Paduano, and we have to tackle first the motion. Huh? We have to tackle the motion.
I
that
second
was,
the motion.
and there's
Honorable Paduano.
that was duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, the said motion is now approved. So, Congressman Marcoleta, your query is valid. Unfortunately, I think it's the fault of the COMSEC for not inviting, because you have to consider as well that we have invited so many already for the bloggers. It was like 40, and we cannot accommodate everybody. And that's the reason why your query is so valid that we will be inviting them in the next hearing. And at the same time, having said that, your story about being victimized of those two broadsheet can be tackled in the next hearing. So the next item.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, you have the floor right now, Congressman.
I just would like to find out if Miss Elizabeth Joey Cruz, aka Joey Vivre, was invited.
Consent,
If he was invited,
Mr. Chairman,
I'd like
a point of order, Mr. Chairman.
what's the point of order?
Once again, Mr. Chairman, the floor is still with Congressman Marcoleta, and is she okay na po ba? Kaya Congressman Marcoleta with regards to the query that I move to invite Philippine Daily Inquirer and Philippine Star.
Yes,
It was approved.
Well,
Now,
actually, I have already taken action.
I know.
The
But
query of
the floor is still
Congressman,
with Congressman Marcoleta, and I asked personally Congressman Marcoleta to the chair if he is satisfied with the motion that I have made, Mr. Chairman. And after that, siguro, let's proceed with another member of the House of this committee.
Congressman Marcoleta, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I still have to include another aspect of inquiry. Kasi hindi lamang po yung social media at saka yung mainstream media. I was also personally victimized by certain survey firms. Nagsasurvey po sila. For example po, yung SWS, kailangan sabihin ko na po. Nag-survey po sila ng third quarter survey last year. And they listed 40 names, senatorial preferences. Nandito po sa akin, ibibigay ko po yung kopya po, reference ng ating committee. There are 40 names mentioned and indicated in that list. Ito po, Mr. Chair. Gusto ko lamang pong i-emphasize na dito sa 4 na pong senatoriables po na kanilang ginamit dito sa survey na to, meron pong 6 na relatively unknown. Babasahin ko po ang pangalan. Adonis Jerome, Andamo Jocelyn, Arambulo Ronel, Doringo Mimi, Floranda Mori, Danilo Ramos. Meron po naman 7 na sikat, Mr. Chair, pero hindi naman nagpahayag po ng pagtakbo bilang senador. Andyan na po si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte, dating Senador Franklin Drilon, dating Senador Richard Gordon, Harry Roque, dating Vice Presidente Robredo Maria Leonor, at saka po yung ating Secretary of Defense, Gilbert Chodoro. Pero po malinaw dito, Mr. Chair, hindi po nila ako nilagay dito sa 40. Pero no pong yung outcome pong ito ipalabas nila, number 36 po ako. Paano po mangyayari na ako po ay magiging number 36, hindi naman po kasali rito? Ito po yung klase ng mga manipulative surveys na pinaniniwalaan po ng mga tao. Sana po hindi na lang nila ako sinama sapagkat wala naman ako rito. Sino po ba si Adonis Jerome, Andamo Jocelyn, Arambulo Ronel, Doringo Mimi, Floranda Modi, Mr. Kong Barbers, may kilala ka ba rito? Bakit naman po, hindi ko naman po pinagpipilitan na isama nila ako rito. Ang problema, hindi po ako kasama, Mr. Chair, pero nilagay po nila ako doon sa resulta, number 36 ako. Hindi naman po tatama ito. Ito po yung gusto nating i-address lahat. Hindi lamang po social media.
We understand that your predicament,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Congressman Marcoleta. And,
Bibigay ko po yung
and the
kopya para sa
the
referensya po.
representation also doesn't believe that. Because on my own assumption, nasa top 5 ka. So, Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chairman, just say,
Mr. Chair.
kidding aside. No.
Mr. Chair.
Kidding aside. We have to tackle that issue as well, that being espoused by Congressman Marcoleta. So we will be inviting over in the next hearing, what survey firm is that? SWS and the Parsation. Ilan ba yan?
Ito lang muna yung nakita ko.
Because-
At saka yung Manila Broadcasting Corporation.
MBC. Because in the House resolution itself, the House resolution number 2147, it clearly states,
social media lang.
Yeah.
Ito lang eh.
Oh, kaya yun lang yung topic natin. But we cannot,
But it was delivered. No. Congressman Barbers, you have delivered in your privilege speech a wide, comprehensive approach on this matter.
That
And
is
I think
correct, Mr.
inviting
Chair.
over the survey firm is also correct.
yeah, maybe we
Because
can
we are tackling
expand.
not only the House Resolution number 2147, we're also tackling 2 privileged speeches that was delivered by you. So I think may basis po yung kay Congressman Marcoleta. Okay, and at the same time, so there's some,
Mr. Chair,
noted po yung kay Congressman Marcoleta. Now,
May I now be
Chairman
recognized?
Abante, now you are recognized.
my query is if we have invited a certain Elizabeth Cruz, no, aka Joey De Vibre, Mr. Chair, if we have invited her and she has an excuse letter, may I know what was the excuse, Mr. Chairman?
Consec, please answer the query of Congressman Abante. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Miss Elizabeth Joy Cruz was invited and she sent an excuse letter via email.
Ano po yung kanyang excuse letter? Ano yung dahilan?
One moment, sir. I'll get it from the chair. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Comsec, can you kindly also try to tell us those resource persons who have not attended this committee hearing? Yung may mga excuse letter, okay yun. But those who have not reply to our request to be present on today's hearing.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Chair,
Chair.
particularly first, Mr. Chair,
Congressman Abante.
particularly I am referring to AKA Joe De Vibre sapagkat matindi yung kanyang mga sinabi dito. Gusto ko talagang makita siya at makausap sapagkat dito minura niya ako At ang sabi niya,